Okay, folks, I feel like I'm in a bit better of a spot emotionally speaking. But I got my incontrovertible reason. That's, the proper adjective to use for said reason. But I got my reason to leave this workplace. I've talked about having dickhead coworkers and stuff like that, but those people, like, I could deal with if I sort of tightened up my work ethic or how exactly I was, doing what I was doing. I would see sort of returns on that insofar as, like, the person in question would kind of, lay off me a bit and start treating me with respect and such. It's something that, like, you could kind of earn it. Okay, show that your technique or your work ethic, was great, and you're, gonna, like, stick around and do the work and get it done and that sort of thing. But this reason has nothing to do with that. And it's bad enough that I'm not even gonna give a 2-week notice. Like, assuming I get in contact with my old boss, fully, like, AKA we talk over the phone and I get the go ahead to return to the old place. Look, I'll take the hour-long commute. I'll take the long hours if I just don't have to be around the kind of drama that I was around in undergrad. Now, what am I talking about? For those who care, my handful of real solid friends, like Dark Magician and Alex and others, they all know about the girl at work. And this is all, like, a reason why, guys, you need to trust your gut. If your gut's telling you something's wrong, something is wrong. Do not ignore it. Do not, do not block out or, like, kind of put your, thumbs in your ears when that, voice is, first starts whispering to you, so to speak, and then eventually, starts raising its volume and gets to the point where it's practically screaming at you, hey, something's wrong here. Get out, get out, get out. Because essentially what happened was, so, I think the kind of switchover happened last week. It was like, the final switchover. Like, she started pivoting in the direction of being more and more distant, disinterested, etc. And now became mildly hostile or annoyed. And, so essentially what ended up happening is we finished up the build in the morning. Started my second build. I had 3 years I was signed today. And so, second build goes until, well, we got halfway through basically until lunch was there, and then go to lunch, and I finished up, my food quick. I actually wasn't that hungry, probably because I had breakfast in the morning. So then, I slacked her saying, hey, because I got some forms filled out, so that I need to turn in, and qualified me to, like, lead the bill, blah, blah, blah. Not have to sort of hang back and that sort of thing. And I slacked her about that. And didn't get any response. I saw her go out. I saw, the guy wasn't at his desk. So I did a little snooping. And, I went around the building, saw them sitting together. Went around this other building to kind of see, like, well, because, okay, look, at first I, wanted to say, oh, it's them. But I wanted to confirm. I didn't want to, like, jump to conclusions and be like, oh, it's them. Looped around the other building, saw them walking back together. And basically confirmed everything. 150%. Like, there's no denying it. And I eventually sort of let everything out to the other coworker who's, like, my trainer, not the one who was, who I first talked about this stuff to. Because, essentially all this stuff happened. Okay, and it turned out this girl is about 21. So you can understand the level of maturity we're talking about here. Not mature at all. The kind of girl who thinks everything's fun and games and, flirting with everybody, playing guys off against each other, that sort of thing. But I, talked about how, this girl asked if I had an inheritance, and given all these indications of interest that she was interested in me romantically. And obviously when I started off working here, I'd tried to be all closed up and distant and not really connect with people because, for one thing, I wanted to start things off on the right foot. I didn't want to get involved in the romantic drama. I didn't want to get involved this, that, and the other, da-da-da-da-da. You know the deal, the drill. If you go through any sort of workplace harassment training, it's a sort of standard thing when you get hired somewhere. You kind of get that into your mind that, okay, need to avoid all that kind of stuff, right? So, she gave me all these indicators of interest. I went and asked her out. She said no. And then, shortly thereafter, she starts pivoting towards this other guy. And, I mean, it just... Like, when I originally made the video that I, deleted, I'm not uploading that, I was all in this sort of really bad emotional downward spiral, which isn't to say that I'm not there, but I'm a little more calm now. Probably because I got some things off my chest to the other coworker, but yeah. So I'm leaving this workplace because honestly, I know people are out there probably some people are gonna say, oh, just grow a pair, man up, get a spine, all that kind of stuff. But see, look, I dealt with this kind of crap in college, and in college it was bad enough. Okay, I mean, talking 3.5 years of turmoil and misery and suffering. Okay. But I didn't necessarily have to always see those people 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and it wasn't for a freaking living. I wasn't having to try to make a paycheck. And this is something that, look, the area I live in, the way the world is nowadays, if you're a guy and something like this goes down and it creates some sort of conflict, you're toast. Okay, you're screwed. They will fire you. They will get rid of you. Okay? And I'm getting out of here before this goes any further, okay? I'll have to forget about her and try not think about her and yada yada, etc., etc. And hopefully with time I will forget about all this. But it was yet again another case of same freaking scenario where the girl goes, not just for the other guy, okay? Because if the other guy was some 6'4", jacked, loaded millionaire, kind of like almost or billionaire, kind of like, and I hate to refer to his book, but the whole 50 Shades of Grey. Basically, if it was one of those cases where, it was like a guy that it would make sense. It would make sense that, okay, that guy won. He's a multi-billionaire, 6'4", jacked, chiseled good looks, all this kind of stuff. And now this guy, he's exactly freaking like the guy that the one-itis girl got with, okay? And yeah, I started really catching one-itis for this girl at work. Different, it's like one-itis girl 1, one-itis girl 2, one-itis girl 3, 1005. It's so freaking stupid. But yeah, morbidly obese, practically, effeminate, kind of a guy, etc., etc., etc. I mean, for the longest time, I thought the guy was a homosexual, which, it wouldn't be a bad thing if he was. Nothing against anybody who's of that persuasion. I'm, not making value to him. I literally thought that he was in that demographic, but, apparently, she wants a guy like that. So, and, she was being hostile to me, annoyed with me. It's kind of like, give me the vibe that, I wish it was the other guy, not this guy. Why do I gotta work with this guy? Why are they scheduling me with this guy? Kind of a thing. And it's just I don't want to be in that kind of environment. This girl is 20, and she comes from what sounds like a very wealthy family. So, spoiled brat, Indian, not of a predominantly, let's just say, American cultural background. All these sorts of factors that combine to make it a really toxic, screwed up situation. And honestly, dudes, you have all these guys in the MGTOW community and even the red pill, other red pill subsectors who want to go on and on and on about how amazing foreign women are. Dude, Walt. All women are like this. Do not get confused. Do not get delusional. Don't go and tell yourselves that you go to Southeast Asia, South Asia, wherever the heck, Colombia, anywhere else in Latin America, Eastern Europe, that somehow it's going to be different. They are all the same because they are all women. And it's not that they're evil, it's not that they're bad, it's just that they are women, okay? And they all operate under the same sorts of stuff, okay? same sorts of, firmware rules, etc. And unfortunately, it seems like living in the West in particular, it's kind of like being stoic, being conventionally masculine no longer attracts women, okay? Being effeminate, being expressive, being morbidly obese, all that kind of stuff gets the girls nowadays, which kind of sucks because it's sort of like you gotta like undermine your own health in order to get the girl. You have to go and screw up your finances and your life and not have any freaking direction and just be a grunt. Just be a grunt and a bum in order to get the girls. And it sucks because I'm so heavily ingrained with this sense of I have to keep striving for something greater. I gotta establish this diet. I have to exercise. I have to go for that graduate degree. I've gotta. And yet at the same time, it's like the higher up you go, the more rejection you're gonna face, to the point where if you're that top dog guy, just top of the line, it's like you will be eliminated from the gene pool. You just will, or at least that's how it seems. And you know what? I'm kind of at this point where, I'm totally at that point where I'm done. I'm giving up. And at the very least, I would want to be able to pivot to or return to or go to a workplace where I just do not have to deal with freaking crap like this. Because I'll tell you, the worst part of it all is that for the longest time, she was flirting with me, she was pretending like she was into me, she was interested, she was all these things that it was like stuff that I was into that I thought, oh, no girl will ever find it attractive or interesting. She would give me that indication that it was like that. Like the scary stories I listen to on YouTube, my career goals, my background, etc., etc., etc. And now it's like, nah, 180 degrees the opposite. 180 degrees the opposite. And it's sort of like, look, I can deal with a girl just not liking me or not being into me, because most girls are just not going to be into you, ever, period. And they'll indicate that just by being blasé with you, by being neutral with you, okay? Typically. Some of them, can get really hostile, have that shield up, so to speak. But I'm all right with a girl being neutral and just not being into me, and that's all right. But when a girl goes and gives you all these IOIs, generates interest in you when you're kind of almost like, you're dead inside, you're stoic, you just don't express that kind of stuff, and they want to get that out of you, and then after they've gotten their rise, it's like all they wanted was that attention. All they wanted was that freaking attention, and once they got that, they're done with you. And now they're with the other guy, and things are going down, and things are really taking off between those two. It's just, that's when it really sucks. Like I said, I'll accept if a girl just doesn't like me like that. She indicates via acting neutral, or even from the get-go, she acts kind of, standoffish or so. Like, okay, you know what? I'm here to make money. It's my job. Let's do this work thing, Get that done. Okay. But, it's this kind of stuff that it goes down. And honestly, I know there won't be any freaking consequences for her because she's a girl, okay? So, in a short bit, probably, I don't know, it usually takes me about half an hour to get home if the traffic's good. But in half an hour after that, I'll probably be talking to my old boss and seeing about how things would look if I were to try to go back to my old workplace. Because honestly, I've already given up indications that I just wanted to go back a while ago. But this thing really takes the cake. Like I said, I can deal with a dickhead, coworker here and there, especially with something where, look, if I tighten up and I get my work done, I'm go, do, that person will, lay off me, or you'll kind of warm up to me because they see, I got the same work ethic as them, or I'm responding and I'm making the effort, that sort of deal. But when it's stuff like this, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not freaking doing this. I had 3.5 years of turmoil and misery like this. And, I had to get through that because I needed to get my degree. But guess what? I don't have to work at this place. I can go back to the other place, hopefully. You know, what I need is a paycheck. I just need a freaking paycheck. And I'm honestly like, and this is where so much of my anger, my frustration comes from. Whether it's trying to communicate it to others or it's just living with it. But, you know, this society doesn't want men like me. It doesn't. The women don't want guys like me. Even if I changed what I talked about or what I did or the life I led. Because look, this guy lives at work, at home with his parents, okay? He lives with his freaking parents. He's not self-sufficient. He doesn't pay his own bills. He doesn't take care of business on his own. He lives with his freaking parents. And it's like, you know, a guy like me who, I mean, my God, like, I had to deal with so many freaking years of being called a freeloader and a loser by my own father, being treated like trash by my mother, being called those same kinds of names, so that I could, you know, they would kick me so hard, basically, metaphorically speaking, sometimes literally, so that I would get out of the house and be paying for my own stuff and supporting myself, etc., etc. And, you know, I got into that habit of being like that and getting to this point, and it's like a guy who supports himself, guy who does his own thing, guy who, you know, works for a living, etc., etc. Not attractive. You gotta say the right words. It's like the basically like whatever manifests as the alpha side of things is prioritized at this point. You know, and being browbeaten for so many years, it's like you have to spend so much effort and time trying to break yourself out of that quote unquote beta mindset. And it's like, you know, it's too little, too late for me. It's far too little, far too late for me. And the society doesn't want guys like me. But at the same time, I'm not willing to go for a permanent solutions to a temporary problem. Memento mori. You know, one day I will die, regardless of what I do. And even if it's just for spite's sake, anger, hatred, whatever, I'm gonna stick around. But I'm not having kids. I'm not getting married. I'm not going to have any of that romance. I'm never going to have sex. And, you know, it's not for lack of trying. Not for lack of trying, folks. I don't want to throw terms on myself like forever alone or any of that kind of crap. I don't identify with any particular community. Because, you know, look, it's kind of like with a lot of people who identify as MGTOW or Forever Alone, they give up on their health. They give up on their finances. They give up on everything. They just go and live in a basement, live in their parents' basement, or they just go live off of, you know, Section 8 housing or whatever. They just basically give up on life, everything. You know, maybe they don't even get a job. Or a degree. They live off of welfare. They just go, screw it. I'm done. I'm you know, truly quitting. I'm not doing that. I'm going to go out and try and live as much of a life as I can live. But it's kind of like, truth be told, I'm just trying to fill some hole. I'm trying to fill some hole that I'll always have. That I will always have till the day I die. And people will say, oh, you gotta learn to love yourself and all this sort of stuff. But when the world is telling you you're a piece of crap, and, you know, you're annoying, or you're dumb, or you're weird, or you're this, or you're that, etc., 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 it's kind of impossible to. I don't know what I really have that's all that great about me, or, you know, good to offer. I mean, it could just be a sign of the times. You know, people talk about it in a declining civilization, like what is going on the social, you know, sort of side of things, where kind of the men who built the civilization or society, people who had those kinds of virtues, how they get, you know, increasingly pushed out of that society. It's kind of like that whole saying that hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. And the cycle goes on and on like that. It honestly feels like I was born in the wrong time. I should have been born 2 or 3 generations ago, or 2 or 3 generations in the future. Really does seem like that. It's almost like there would have to be some massive world war where, like, it's kind of like World War I, where they had like battles, like the Battle of the Somme. How many battles of the Somme were there? Like 3 of them or something like that, or was it just 3 days of one battle? But there were like millions and millions of guys who were just killed because they, it was the trench warfare scenario, climbing up out of the trench and hoping that you didn't get picked up by a sniper, and then running through no man's land and probably getting gunned down or gassed along the way before you even get to the enemy's trench. And then, you kind of stack up those numbers of dead, and it's like, 3 million dead. It's almost like it had to be something that bad. The draft would have to come back, and all these guys, these wimpy guys, would have to get drug into the draft, into the military, and sent off to die by the millions. And if you happen to be one of those positively conventionally masculine guys who was already rearing and ready to go beforehand, and then you somehow survived, well then, yeah, you would have the pick of the litter, so to speak, and not just in terms of women, but in terms of jobs and money and everything. Kind of like when the Black Death or the Great Plague swept through, the bubonic plague or the pneumonic plague, when they swept through Europe, and so many of those peasants died, and it was like, okay, the landlords, the aristocracy couldn't keep up the same demanding set of standards or rules or regulations as they could before the plague, because they had to sort of renegotiate with the peasantry, because it sort of ironically shifted some of the power in the favor of the peasantry because they weren't as disposable. It's kind of like that, being born in the wrong time, the wrong place, etc. But man, this just makes me really angry. This makes me really, really angry. You can't escape this. And so much of it is rooted in the fact that this is, another red pill truth out there, and please do not ask me what I mean by red pill, okay? The folks who know, and they're the ones I like to hear from. But it's sort of red pill truth that in contemporary society, we want to pretend like if you put a bunch of guys and girls into close quarters, we're all the same. We're all 100%, the same, and nothing could possibly happen, if you put guys and girls together, and the guys won't compete with each other for the approval of the women, or to for sexual favors or romantic favors. Oh no, that won't happen, and there won't be division and conflict and etc. Especially when you're dealing with like some 20-something-year-old girl and some older guys. Obviously, like, come on, people. They don't want to confront that fact. And so much of it is rooted in the fact that we've tried to pretend like all of that kind of stuff was just made up. Somebody made it up to say that men and women are different. That if you put guys and girls together like that, and they're, they don't have established relationships, they don't have somebody who they're with that they have genuine desire for, and maybe they end up having genuine desire for their coworkers, or the coworkers going on flirting with everybody, etc., etc., that, nothing's going to happen. It's like, come on, folks. I mean, if there's one thing I liked about the last place I worked at, one real positive, one real pro, versus the cons I thought that were there, it was that, if anybody was dating, they truly kept it on the down low. If. And in all likelihood, it doesn't sound like there was all that much dating. Like, if a girl had a boyfriend, it was not a boyfriend at work. It was a boyfriend out there in the wide world. And you never saw the guy. Maybe you occasionally heard about him. Oh, what'd you do over the weekend? Oh, well, my boyfriend and I, or my girlfriend and I, we went to thus and such place. We, really been wanting to go there for the longest time, and then the pandemic happened, and we finally got to go, and da da da. It was stuff like that. it wasn't, a girl playing guys off against each other, or, fishing for attention or whatever the hell. And, honestly, like, if I get to talking to my boss, and, my boss is like, hey, yeah, sure thing, my old boss, come on back, and then, we'll make you an MA2, or, we'll make you a Tier 2 manufacturing associate, or, this, that, and the other. I'll just take the freaking job, and I will get my paycheck, and I'll be a happy clam with that. Because so much of my problem has been figuring out how the heck am I going to get out of grunt status and actually, like, get my career, progressing, that sort of thing. And if it honestly means this sort of long-term slog of, like, okay, I got to get a master's degree, then I'll just buckle down and I'll do my master's degree, and I won't have any freaking problem with that. I won't have a problem with that. If it means that I gotta wait a few years, get even more work experience, and that's what I'll do. That is what I will do. And I'll get out of this environment, because this is stupid. And I think another thing, and I mentioned this to the coworker, that I think prevented a lot of stuff from going down at the old workplace, was that it was, the group dynamics. You didn't have 2 or 3 people put together on a build in close quarters, locked alone in a lab, basically. You had 20, 30, 40 people to a team. And, I think most of them were actually guys. And they were a bit older, more mature. There were definitely young girls, but like I said, I don't know how this ends up being the case per se. I got some ideas, but I don't know for sure how this ends up being the case. But like I said, all these girls, if they had boyfriends, they typically were from outside of work, or if they came and started working they came to the workplace, started working there, it was like they had already formed that relationship beforehand, and there was no lovey-dovey, woo-vee-woo sort of stuff. It was like they kept it professional, and so there's that. And I think one thing, and maybe this is sort of a downside of some other ways of approaching this, but societally speaking, but one thing I've noticed with a lot of these, foreign-born girls who are girls with foreign families, that got the what my dad would call, and he's from overseas, he'd call it cultural baggage, is that they got a set of parents that are kind of of the mindset of, okay, we'll pick out whoever your husband is going to be. It's kind of like up until that point of marriage, like, the girls are just playing around, and if it means sleeping around, if it means dating around, if it means dicking around, they'll do that, because it really all is just fun and games to them. Nothing serious. There's no potential for a relationship. There's nothing, there's no potential consequences, because daddy and mommy don't know. And it's just, he's just some guy from work, or he's just some guy from school, daddy, sort of thing. And they can muck about like that. And as long as they're discreet about it, keep things on the down low, and daddy never finds out, well, then she can go and muck about all she wants to. And even if it ruins a bunch of people's lives, or creates conflict, or whatever the hell, in the workplace, or at school, or in the community, it doesn't matter, because she's daddy's little princess, and etc., etc., all the things that follow from that. So, given that I've gotten things off my chest, I don't know how things are going to play out over the next week or two, but I know that if I was the one doing this, flirting with coworkers left and right, doing all that kind of stuff, like, I'd be getting the short end of the stick. I know that for certain. It's something that people don't want to kind of confront. That's the way the rules are. It's rules for thee, but not for me. And if I leave, obviously they're going to talk trash about me afterwards. They probably already were talking trash about me as it was. And the way these people are. But like I said, if I get to talking to my old boss and I get the go-ahead to return to the old place, I'll do it. Like I said, I'll take the commute. It'll take me some time to adjust to it yet again, but I'll do all of that, and I'll get out of here, and I'll do my thing, and I'll get on with my life. Heck, I might even just take the entire week off, assuming that that I do get, some sort of an offer, just so I don't have to deal with that bleepity bleep. Because I'm done with this. I mean, I'm trying to nip this in the bud as soon as I can, because I'm at this point where, like I said, like I foresee what is going to come down the pipeline if I stay at this place. It's just inevitable. I mean, you can't make somebody like you the way you want them to like you. You can't change the things that you said or did from the past, or whatever may have, made her interested or not interested in you, or made her lose interest in you. But yeah, of course the irony is, like, I'm probably the kind of guy who, it's almost like her father or mother might have, if they'd met me, they'd be like, oh yeah, we want you to get with this guy, but, they're thinking about things from the beta buck's perspective of, good long-term provision and capability, as opposed to, actually giving her the tingles, And I guess this other guy gives her the tingles, so yeah, just another example that I can put into my filing folder of reasons why, or examples of why I will always be defeated, always. Because it's not that you can't get a girl; it's that you can't get a girl whom you actually like, whom you actually want. Ironically or unironically speaking. And man, I don't even, I will upload this video just so I can put that out there and get things off my chest. I mean, maybe even the few people who actually care will, throw in some support or so, but I'm done with this place. I really am. Like I said, I can deal with dickhead coworkers or demanding bosses or stuff of that nature, but this kind of stuff, especially with being treated like, or being held up to some higher standard because, oh, I'm not the kind of guy that she wants to sleep with, sort of a thing. I'm done with that. I don't want that or need it. And, it truly is not part of what I want out of my life. Yeah. Sorry, I was looking up to the left because I thought I saw the other one-eyed girl's boyfriend walking by. I thought it was just like, dude, the irony of me making a video like this talking about this topic, and then that kind of thing pops up. It's sort of like, I don't know, folks. It's sort of a cold hard truth of life that so much time in society and life, they want to lie to you. They want to lie to you and tell you, oh, there's somebody for everybody. There isn't. You just may be one of that 60% of guys who, 60 to 80% of guys who will never, ever have someone. Or at least not, long term. At least not, long term commitment wise. You just may end up being, one of those guys who gets eliminated from the gene pool. And that's just the way it is. So, I don't know if I want to call my folks and talk to them. I don't know if they'd even care. But I don't know. I'm sure my dad will just tell me like who gives a crap? Just get your paycheck and that sort of thing. I wish I could be like that. I wish I could just not care. But anyways, I'm gonna try and park here, and then we'll see about talking to the old bossaroo. And maybe I'll just chill here for half an hour because I decided to leave work early. I just didn't want to be around there anymore. So, anywho, folks, I'll see you around, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with this life, but something. So, bye bye.